Hello, ladies and gentlemen, and welcome to the Review of Death live commentary of the 1996 Doctor Who TV movie, which is a terrible title, but it's better than The Enemy Within. I am joined by the 8th Doctor himself, Paul McGann, for this commentary. Paul, thank you so much for joining us. I know you're busy with recording stuff in lockdown for Big Finish, so how's everything going on your end?
Yeah, it's not been too bad. Thanks for having me here, Billy.
Excellent.
I can't remember any of this going on here. Whose eyes are those? They're not mine, are they?
And amazingly, Paul McGann has transitioned into Matthew Toffolo.
Hello.
It's been years since he did his action figure adventures, so he can't sustain the voice anymore.
I'm trying my best.
But here we go. Did I told you where I got it from? This will only mean anything to people in certain parts of Bristol. Did I tell you where I got it from?
No, where did you get this from?
Rajani.
Did you
Yeah.
really?
There were loads of them in there. There was like 5 copies of this brand new sealed in Rajani. So,
yeah, it's like a budget store, isn't it? Budget.
If you need to go in there to get bowls for an Indian restaurant you run, then it's perfect.
That's where you want to go.
Or, furniture that will give you crabs. It's perfect. That is libelous.
FBI, open up!
And all the stuff in the hospital that we'll see later on, that just feels far too real for an episode of Doctor Who. That was one of the first Doctor Who things that scared me as well. Seeing him being operated on, that just really just made me very uncomfortable. In a very different way to, seeing like the Master's face in The Deadly Assassin, which scared me in a very different way. And I think that's, it scares you, but that's fake. Whereas this is like, oh my God, I could end up not getting shot, but I could end up being in a hospital and being operated on. Can
I just say that guy just then who did the high five with a roundhouse kick certainly earned his money. I wonder if he got paid extra for that.
I mean, the whole thing with seeing Sylvester in the TARDIS at the start, that's a bit of a problem, I think. I just think that, we understand it because we know Doctor Who.
Of course, sure.
I don't think an average American would have seen the police box and then gone, oh right, this big whatever it is inside that little cupboard that's floating through space. And I don't know. I think there was just. I think they could have approached it more in the way that Russell approached it when he brought Doctor Who back. Have Rose as the eyes and ears of the audience, and that she is slowly. This character just appears in her life.
Rob. Exactly.
And I think it could have been what should have happened here with her is that she should have been at the theatre, whatever. Oh, this bloke's been brought in, he's been shot, he dies, and then the body goes missing. And then, of course...
But that's the funny thing. We look at this now, and we're Doctor Who fans, and we're older than we were when we first saw it. We should not... The target audience for this is not the age that we were when we first saw it.
No.
But it's very, very different to the way that Russell approached it, which is, he's approaching it from the perspective of we're making this for 5 to 12-year-olds and their parents.
But that's Eric Roberts' real wife.
Is it?
Yeah.
Poor woman.
What do you think about all this gurning going on here?
It scared me, but I always thought that regeneration behind the kind of, the crazy effects actually looked like that.
Right. I like how Paul McGann clearly didn't want to do it.
Yeah, I know. He's just kind of pursing his lips and going, oh, yeah.
This is really clever. I love all this.
It's fantastic. The super strength thing.
See, at the time I remember thinking, this is weird. Why is he got super strength? But then again, think about when Tom Baker regenerates.
Oh, that's a good point.
He chops that brick in half with his hand, so...
Of course I'm fit. All systems go.
Say.
Well, I won't do it. I won't. Why should I?
Why not? I guess that's part of it.
I've never put that together. That's a...
Regeneration's super strength.
If I take anything away from this, it's that.
The Master that we see at the beginning, do we think that that's another incarnation again, or is that meant to be Anthony Ainley?
I always assumed, and that's Anthony Ainley, that is what happens to you when you go into that disintegrator on Gallifrey, when you tried and they say they put you in that thing. Or maybe that's the effect of the mind probe. That's maybe why the Castellan was so fucking terrified.
What?
I'm going to be turned into a snake. I just always assumed that was Anthony Ainley. Now it could be
It could be, couldn't it?
It could be anybody. It could
Because he did record, the guy who played him, the actor's name escapes me, he actually did record the opening monologue.
Yes, Gordon Tipple.
I should have told them, Gordon Tipple.
Just try one more, just a tiny bit quicker, just for a variety.
Okay.
Thank you.
I do hereby make my last will and testament. If I'm to be executed and thus cruelly deprived of all existence, I ask only that my remains be transported back to my home planet by my rival Time Lord and nemesis, he who calls himself the Doctor.
He oozes, sex, but he oozes Doctor Who, doesn't he?
Yeah, and it's a gorgeous costume. Gorgeous costume.
It's amazing. He's got 2 hearts, 2 cocks.
I begged them to give me a pair of shoes and they just wouldn't let me do it.
Although maybe
I said, can I at least have a pair of socks? And they said no.
When you watch his audition tape, there is a moment where the 8th Doctor sort of appears out of nowhere.
Right.
Because he's performing it very, very kind of, he's talking as if he's, talking about taking out the rubbish or whatever. And then somebody off camera says,
Excited. You found these scrolls.
And he goes, I think I found it. And suddenly he just kind of comes to life and it's like, there's the 8th Doctor.
Oh, Terminator.
Oh, here he is.
But he was meant to be, his face was supposed to be getting more and more manky as it went on.
Oh, that sounds amazing. Because this bit doesn't make sense anymore in that case.
There's never a line where the Doctor's like, oh, your body's falling apart, your whatever, your mortal bodies.
Yeah, your cock's just fallen out your trouser leg onto the TARDIS floor.
My dick's falling off! Oh, no!
So, little bit of insider stuff here. So, when Big Chief were making the figure, there weren't enough really good reference images of Paul McGann's shoes. So, one lunchtime at work, I went through screen grabs of this film, looking up any shots of the shoes, and then I put the contrast up on the picture so I could see the seams and stuff on the shoes, and then I drew the shoes in MS Paint and sent them that and said, there you go, that's what the shoes look like, and that's what the toy is. I can tell you firsthand that great pains have been taken to match what little we see of them in the film to the figure.
We both have girlfriends.
Yeah, he's the first master that isn't a rotting corpse although he is a rotting corpse technically, that doesn't have a beard.
And it starts a very worrying trend.
It does.
Does he still have that rubbish beard? No beard this time. Well, a wife.
Until we get to, literally just Sim in the Series 10 finale.
Yeah.
That's it. That's the only time we've had a goateed master or a bearded master. Apart from, does Dewan have a beard?
He's got heavy stubble.
He's got heavy stubble. That's not the same. I'm not happy with that.
No.
I changed my mind.
Oh dear.
The Doctor is half human.
What? What's you chatting about? It's because he's got his sunglasses on. He can't. He couldn't look at his eyes properly. I mean, to be fair, he could be half human. We don't know what the Timeless Child is all about. It gets sort of referred back to, doesn't it, in one of Capaldi's stories, in Hellbent, doesn't it?
By your own reasoning, why couldn't the hybrid be half Time Lord, half human? You're a Time Lord. You're a highborn Gallifreyan. Why is it you spend so much time on Earth?
Is there nothing that story gets right? Doesn't fuck up in the end?
Doesn't make any sense.
I think it also misses the mark, this film, because there's no monsters in it.
Yes. I mean, what would we have done? Maybe Daleks invading San Francisco during the millennium? But then that would have been laughable because the Americans would have looked at it and gone, look at all these tin cans wandering around,
Yeah, and their shit squeaky voices, like at the start of the film.
Excellent. Yeah.
Why did they just not get some clips from the old series and just put that over the top?
Must have been a copyright thing.
It's so weird.
Same thing of not including the older Doctors in this. Apparently, this man was the voice of the Daleks in the opening.
Wow. So it's all his fault.
Yeah.
Turn the gun on him.
Lace those jelly babies with rat poison. So the Master's jizzed over all these boys. Matt's been just as smutty as me, everybody. Let's not try and pin this on any one individual. If this had happened earlier and eventually it's taking over her, Time Lord Gonorrhea, and she twats him round the head. Or, green eyes. Just to make it more obvious.
Yeah.
Because
it's creepy, that, though.
Oh, it is creepy. It's definitely
eyes.
creepy. But the link that she is in league with him because she's been directly taken over by him would have been more obvious. That was quite a nice shot, actually. Do you see in the reflection the clamps that he's held up by?
No, I didn't.
Yeah, in the reflection of the mirror, you can see the clamps that he's hoisted up by.
I was just about to say, I'll rewind it, and then I was like, oh no, I can't do that.
Don't do that, because we'll have to start from the beginning. That's the Thorn of Crowns reference there for you.
Yeah.
Bit more Jesus imagery. It looks really painful.
It does look really horrible.
It's like a way.
Why has the Doctor got that in his TARDIS?
He's into BDSM, clearly.
I had it left over from my 6th incarnation. He was really into that sort of thing.
Yeah, he was very nasty in the bedroom.
Old 60. That's why I choked Perry that time. Yeah.
Oh my god! Now, of all the Doctors to be into that, I reckon 5. He's the he's hiding in the. God, that looks really uncomfortable. That's my BDSM side coming out.
I'd love to wear that.
Where do I get one of those?
I think that's the thing, is with the benefit of hindsight, this film works better. I think when it came out as its own sort of standalone thing, it just didn't really work.
A few gripes.
We were presented with a nightmare of cliched banalities, everything that's awful about American television.
But now that, like you said, we've got Big Finish, we've got the new series, we're aware of the situation of how it got made and why it got made.
Yeah. So I think the show has always got to progress. I think that's been its basic strength.
It works better. It's still not great, but, there's I think there's a lot of things in here that we can appreciate, even if it's just down to aesthetics and production choices, as opposed to maybe the writing. But yeah, I think there's a lot of good to come out of this film. This is all great.
It is. It's fantastic. It's the most epic the Doctor's first story has ever been. If you look at later stories that are like strong stories, where the Doctor's just regenerated, the Atraxi and the 11th Hour is great, undoubtedly.
Did he just save the world from aliens and then bring all the aliens back again?
But the Atraxi against something of this scale, is completely different. And the way that this whole sequence is done, you really do feel like, oh my god, this really could be it. Oh, well, I mean, he just killed her by turning towards him.
Good as well. That pillar shook.
The what?
The pillar shook.
Pillar shook. Ah, get in.
He's also been transported into an age that the original time travelers never foresaw, a world of convincing sets and dazzling effects.
It is still Doctor Who. And I wonder him offering the Master's hand for an audience that doesn't know the Doctor is ultimately a pacifist at heart.
Yeah.
If that makes an awful lot of sense,
Because none of that comes out, does it, in this story? Like, there's nothing.
It doesn't.
Nothing really sets up his morals,
I'm not here to kill it. I've got to give it a chance.
I never would.
It almost would have made sense in the earlier scene with the gun and the police officer.
Yes.
If he'd said something then Like, oh, I don't like guns, or something.
Yeah.
I have no intention of trying anything. Only people keep giving me guns, and I do wish they wouldn't.
And he handed it to Grace, and she did the do.
Yeah.
Is that CG, or is that a model, that TARDIS?
That is a model.
I wonder what happened to that model.
Philip Siegel might have kept it.
That looks like a great TARDIS team.
It does, doesn't it? It does look lovely.
They look fab.
And the lighting and stuff, it just... that I would have happily tuned in to watch more of these three.
Absolutely. I mean, I'm sure we would have had as many things to complain about it, you know...
Oh, totally.
You know, as we
lambasted it.
Are doing it now. But, you know, the way that we're looking upon this, you know, it's very, very sweet.
Snogging?
I mean...
What are you doing?
That's all right. You can do that then. You don't need the snog earlier.
It still doesn't really make sense, though, does it? Why? Why are you kissing her?
Thank you, Doctor.
He's working out if this incarnation is gay. He goes back to the TARDIS and goes, nah, I'm not into that.
Not for me.
No, not for me. Where's Adric? Anyway, Matthew, what did you think of Doctor Who, the TV movie?
It was great fun to watch with you because we had a good laugh.
I love you, mate.
I think I enjoyed it more watching it with you than I had if I'd have just watched it on my own.
It's a bit of a mess, but sort of in a way when you look back at it and you think, oh, thank God that wasn't the last of Doctor Who.
Yeah.
You can sort of look back at it and enjoy it more because you can breathe a sigh of relief knowing that it was in safer hands after the fact. It's got a more positive reflection on it now than it did, obviously, when it came out.
Totally. And I think the thing is, you know, for a long time, you mentioned this earlier, you know, a lot of people, including myself, didn't really think of it as being canon, you know? But I think now, again, with the benefit of hindsight, the new series, it makes you go back and kind of appreciate it in a way that we didn't really at the time.
Exactly.
You know?
You can appreciate it for the elements of it that aren't responsible for bringing it back to TV.
Yes.
You can appreciate the soundtrack. You can appreciate Paul's performance. You can appreciate the production values more.
It was good. Good fun to watch it.
Very, very good fun.
And I hope, you know, if people at home enjoyed this, then maybe we can do some better Doctor Who stories.
Paradise Towers next. Get in.
Oh my God.
Yes.
Oh Christ! I don't know if I could survive it.
Not
with everything else going on in the world.
Bombard Matthew with tweets that we should do this because I think it would be fun. And massive thank you to Ellie, of course, for allowing us to do this. So, bish bash bosh, and I think we can call that job done.
We can indeed. Right. Well, thank you for listening, everybody, and hopefully we'll be back for another one soon. Bye-bye.
Bye.
Not again.
I can use Microsoft Paint. I'm clever.